chapter 5, verse 12. Adam had death. You know when you got death on you, everything you touch seems to die. Everything you touch dies. Everything that comes from you is dead. It's not producing anything that has purpose. We got a lot of folk around here producing stuff, and it looks like life, but it ain't producing nothing that is glorifying God.
Ooh, say it.
You know you got life in you when what you produce glorifies Him.
That's
If
it.
it's not glorifying Him, then you gotta ask yourself, who is it glorifying? Is it glorifying you or the devil? If it's glorifying you 9 times out of 10, 99.99% of the time, it's glorifying the devil. It comes from the devil. Amen? So, Romans chapter 5, verse 12 says what? Wherefore, as by what?
One man.
Sin entered into the what?
World.
So by one man sin entered into the world, and death by what?
Through sin.
So because he sinned, his sin produced death, and everything he touched died. Everything he did could not bear the image of God. So by Adam, everyone else that was born, even though God was still at work, there was still something messed up about man. Watch this. Let's read it so that nobody think I'm making it up. He says, wherefore, as by one man sin entered into the world, and death by sin. And so death, what? Passed upon all men. For all, what?
Oh, sin.
For that all have sinned. So no one could be perfect or be like God because Adam had death on him. And everything that he touched or everything that came from him had the same death on them. Watch this. Watch what he says. Verse 13. Until the law, sin was in the world, but sin is not imputed where there is no law. So watch this. Sin was in the world, but God couldn't completely destroy man because he had not given a law.
Okay.
He couldn't completely destroy man because sin came in, death came in by sin. And so now sin is in the world, and God has not given a law. He had not given the law yet. So man was walking around here sinning and didn't even know they were sinning.
Right. Come on, preach.
They didn't even know that they were committing sin because there was no law.
There was no law.
But there was nothing internal to tell them that's wrong.
Right.
Nothing to convict them. Just like we got folk out here today. Come on, y'all. They can do all kind of stuff, and there is nothing inside of them to convict them. And they don't think it's wrong. So here it is. Watch. So he says, again, for until the law, sin was in the world, but sin is not imputed where there is no law. Verse 14, nevertheless, death reigned. That word reign means rule.
Rule, right.
Death ruled mankind.
Wow.
Wait a minute, how can death rule mankind when God created man? And God is life, so how can death rule man? Because God was no longer ruling him.
That's it.
God was no longer ruling him. Adam gave the management contract to Satan. When he took of the tree of the fruit and he ate from the fruit of the tree of the knowledge of good and evil, he handed the keys of life over to Satan. He handed the management contract of the earth, his dominion, over to Satan, and now Satan was ruling him and the earth.
My God, come on with it.
Because remember, Adam and Eve was given dominion. Is that right?
Right.
So now he has relinquished that dominion over to Satan.
Come on.
And now he's got to serve Satan.
Teach.
Because he gave it over to Satan. So, watch this. So he says, nevertheless, death reigned from Adam to Moses. Why does it say from Adam to Moses?
Because then the
Because,
commandments came.
because the law was instituted by Moses
Right.
to deal with sin and death.
Right, right.
Watch this. It gets even deeper. It gets even deeper. It gets more interesting.
Jesus.
So from Adam to Moses, even over them
Who did not
that
sin by
had
breaking the
not sinned
commandment.
after the similitude of Adam's transgression, who is the figure of him that was to come. Listen, so it says that death was reigning and ruling over all mankind who didn't even sin like Adam. In other words, what it's saying, Adam knew what he was doing. He knew what God said.
Right. Yeah, yeah.
Those that came along after him, they weren't there in the garden.
Adam's had instructions.
Adam had instructions. He knew what God, but yet the same death that was on him is now passed down to somebody who didn't even have nothing to do with it.
Jesus.
Somebody raise
Wow.
their hand and say, I ain't had nothing to do with it.
I had nothing to do with it. Not a
Come on, I ain't had
thing.
nothing to do with it. But that same death was passed
Wow.
on to all humanity because of something that Adam did, because God gave him something that was to be passed down to all, that was to come through him. But
Right.
because he gave it over to Satan now, everybody that came as a result after him had to now come into a world where Satan was ruling with death, and they were born in sin, as David said, is shaped in iniquity. Born with a sinful nature that came from Adam, who transgressed against God in the garden. And now this earthly body
Wow.
is now contaminated with sin. And with sin nature. Because what the enemy knew is that the real thing that was going to happen to Adam was that he was going to lose the spiritual nature of God,
Right.
thus causing his body to die. He knew that he would lose the spiritual nature of God. He would lose the knowledge of something that Adam had in the garden that God revealed to Adam. And all Adam had to do was keep eating from the tree of life. You never see God telling him not to eat from the tree of life. Just from the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. He couldn't eat from that. Amen? So, and it says, Adam was a figure